Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's 2025, happy new year. I'm eating up 2025 because 5 is such a nice number, because like 100 can be divided by like 5. Oh, it's so good. We're cut of the way, food essentially. Oh my god. I turned 23 this year. I'm not a big fan of the number 3 because it reminds me of the color green, which is a good color, but it reminds me of like not a nice green, kind of like that oversaturated, more bluey green, but like not blue. I don't know how to describe it. I don't really have the color around me, but it's just not my fave. Very excited for 24 though. That's good because that reminds me of the color blue, and it's an even number, whereas 3 is an odd number. Anyway, unrelated, but so I follow a lot of like book, kind of, not really, 2 people, and sometimes they talk about books, but I was inspired because they were talking about their reading goals for 2025, and I have a couple of ideas. So I just want to talk about what I read last year. Yeah, I just kind of want to talk about what I read, the books I want to read, though I don't really have any books in mind per se. Spoiler. And kind of just my freaking thoughts. So let's get into it. So I was gonna read from my Goodreads what I read, but it's on my phone and I am recording from my phone. So I took a photo on my iPad and I just got it down here. Freaking got my iPad down here. Anyway, so I read 6 books last year. Chuffed. I'm so chuffed. Like, that is crazy. Like, I'm sorry, but that is crazy. How good. I'm so happy. Because to think like a couple of years ago, I would not finish one book. I know I used to read a lot of books as a kid. Like, I used to tear up Geronimo Stilton. Goosebumps, kind of, not like a lot, but I definitely read a lot of the Choose Your Own Adventure ones. But these are like full books and books that I wanted to read like forever. So I'm very happy. It would be 7 books because I started June in December. I started Dune in December. But I did finish it technically yesterday, but I'll get into that why it's technically like not done yet. But so I've got the photo here. So the first book I read was Flowers in the Attic. Crazy. Like, now that I've read the 3rd book, the glamour of the first book is kind of gone a little bit, but when I read it, oh my god, it was my favorite thing ever. 5 stars. Oh, she became my favorite author. Like, everything. Like, I was obsessed. I was like taken aback, and like as soon as it finished, I finished it at work because I had it on my Kindle. Did I read? Yeah, as soon as I finished it, I was at work sitting in the smokers area by myself, finished it, and I immediately bought the second one because I was in love. So I started reading it on my Kindle, but then I actually bought an a paperback version of the book, and I read it from there. It took a little bit to get into because I was so taken aback by, because in the second one, it's them obviously. They're out of the attic. They're no longer flowers in the attic, they're flowers on the street. But the time moves quite quickly, and I was really surprised, and I thought it would slow down, but it didn't. And obviously now I know that's just the vibe of her writing style, but I was so surprised, so it kind of took me out of it, and I'm like, oh, like I just wanted to see like the relationship between the brother and sister, like not in the weird way that it turned out, but I just like the psychology of like just seeing the implications in like the world around them, but it kind of focused on other stuff, and then she kind of went on her own in the ballet thing, but I was like, no, like I need to see the family, and like the younger sister, not the younger brother, rest in peace. That was sad. Thankfully I actually, well, not thankfully, but I watched a YouTube video about Flowers in the Attic, like basically just a synopsis of the first book, and that's what got me into like reading it. So I did actually know that Corey did die. Spoilers, this book did come out in like the 80s, so you'll whittle wait, but so was I. So yeah, I was taken a little bit back, and then I was like, oh, like I missed the first book, but the second book was great. And then I think it was like the last like 100 pages, I just sat there and read it. Like, it was like this one night. I remember it was winter, so it must have been like July last year, August. I was rugged up in a blanket on the couch, absolutely tearing up this book, and I read it, and oh, the grief. Like, I was grieving so much at the end of the book that I couldn't even cry. Like, and I have cried reading certain books, like A Dog's Purpose. When I was younger, I read that when I was maybe like 13, 12. Anyway, this, I was so, like, my heart was so heavy, but I just could not cry. And it was crazy. I just could not. It was just insane. And then when I finished the third one, sorry, I had to stop the camera, so I don't know how to like transition this back into what I was saying. And then I bought the third one online, but it took a while to come. So in between then, I started The Golden Compass, which I really, really wanted to read. And I had, how did I read that? I think I was reading it, oh, I remember. So I was looking for it, and so I went to like my local bookstore, which is a chain bookstore. It's not like what you're picturing, like a cute one. I mean, it is cute, but it's just a bookstore in the mall. And they had the first book, but the cover was really ugly. Like, I'm sorry, I was with my mom, and I remember telling her, I was like, well, I don't want to get it, because it was like, The Golden Compass is so fantastical and like amazing. Yet the front cover was like a cartoony drawing of the snow with a compass sitting in it. It was really ugly, and I was like, don't judge a book by its cover. But I was, and I didn't want to read it. So I was like, But then they had a huge, and I kid you not, like, it was thick. I think it was like over 1,000 pages long, and it had all 3 books in it. And the pages were so thin. Like, if you've ever read a Bible or something like that, the pages were so thin, like rice paper thin. And so I got that because it was gorgeous. Like, the cover was gorgeous, and you took it up, and it was like the dust cover was nice, but the book underneath it was like cotton, and it was red with black. It looked like a Bible. Like, it looked like maybe like a Satanist Bible because it was red. But either way, it was gorgeous, but it was so heavy. Anyway, I started reading it, and it was so heavy. It got to the point where I got maybe halfway through the first book, and I had to go online and buy just the first book because it was just getting crazy, because it was so heavy. Like, I don't know how to describe it. She was a brick. And then I found the most gorgeous old cover, because I love old covers. I like old things. I don't want, like, obviously modern covers and modern stuff are like gorge, obviously, but this one was amazing. It looked hand-drawn, sort of like with colored pencils. Anyway, it was amazing. I bought it online secondhand on eBay, and while it was arriving, I started reading, I think by that time, If There Be Thorns, which is the third Flowers in the Attic book, the Dollanganger series, the third book that had arrived. So I think I started reading that while I was waiting for this book to arrive. I'm just kept getting in the middle of my series, and then tore up If There Be Thorns because I was eating up the youngest son. I could not tell you his name now. I know Bart was the other one, but I keep forgetting the other one. But I'm talking about the really fucked up kid. The one that would not kill the animals, but he also didn't kill the animals, but also, like, he was lonely. Yeah. Anyway, I started reading that, and so I read that quite quickly, a little bit slower than the first one. Like, first one I was like, I need to find out what happens. This one, even though I already knew what happened in that one because I watched the video, but it's one thing reading it and one thing seeing it. Anyway, the third one, so I did get through that one quite quickly, slowed down a little bit, but I think I just kept going because it was, yeah, I loved it, but yet again, like, it really, like, took the glamour away from the first one. I was like, oh, maybe, like, it was good, but I can see flaws in the writing. And Catherine, I love, like, I really did love womanhood, like, girlhood. I really liked it. But in the second one, it was like, oh, seen as like man's property, which is a sign of the times, so you can't judge it too hard. She had as much independence as I think would have been realistic, while she was also quite dependent, obviously, because the way she was raised. So it was like realistic. But then the third one threw that out the window. She had lost everything. She had lost her spark. She wasn't real. She was a caricature of someone's sad mum. And so I was so sad. Obviously, it's from the point of view of the boys, and you miss out on a lot of stuff. But it was just like, I just didn't get some of the stuff. Like, she would just like collapse to the floor and start crying when like 2 seconds before she was like happy and dancing, and it wasn't enough to seem like, oh, she's erratic. It was like, Diva, get off of the floor, like, what are you doing? I just didn't get that. But so I think I gave that one 4 stars, obviously, because I still love the series. And keep in mind, by this point, I tried to read a little bit more of the Golden Compass, but I just could not. I think I found my page where I was up to in the new book when it arrived, but I did not continue. So that's currently on my bookshelf. That was shelved. That was DNF, as they say. I did not finish. So that was one of the ones I didn't finish last year. And then I finished If There Be Thorns, that was done, and I bought the 4th one, which has arrived, and I haven't read that one yet. But I bought it. I bought the nice cover. It took me forever to find. I think there's multiple versions of the 4th book, and I know that I think the one I got was a book club version, which is less, like, not as good quality, but the cover's much nicer than the other ones. I don't get it. And I did think, because it's like Seeds of Yesterday, that's the name of it, and I thought that it was a prequel, which was going to be about them, like, Kathy's mum, Kathy and Chris's mum. So I was like thinking that the 3rd one was going to be the last one, so I was really surprised, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, no, it's just a continuation, but it says their kids, well, not their kids, but are like older, so I know that I'm just going to be really sad after. And I think reading all 3 of those books last year was a ride. I don't know, I am very sensitive about these matters. Makes sense, like, I've experienced, but I'm sensitive. So I just don't think it was good to read all 3 books in like one go like that. So I am hesitant to read this last one because I don't want it to be over, but I also like know it's not going to be happy because everything is so bittersweet. Like, if I just could describe this, like, this series, it is bittersweet and it is sad. So, but I did buy a couple other books just at the secondhand store. Of VC Andrews. She's not my favourite author anymore. That was just the first book. Now she is good, but I can just see the flaws in her writing, which is fine. Like, it's like quirks in a way, and I like seeing different stuff, but I can see like how she wrote. So I'm hesitant to read another book because I'm like, I'm just gonna see a replay of stuff that I wasn't a big fan of. But I'm so happy to give it a go. But I can't remember, I think I bought Ruby, which I know is the beginning of another series, but I think it might be a prequel. I think I messed up a little bit on that one. But I noticed most thrift stores have full VC Andrews sections, which is weird. So like, she wrote a lot, but there's like a lot. Like, James Patterson wrote a lot of books, and then obviously he had ghostwriters under his name. But I've seen more VC Andrews like at this, like, the thrift store. So oh, to be a woman. Seriously. So I don't know why. It works out for me though. Cheaper books, and I do like old books, so I like when someone else has read the book before me because I like to think how they felt, which is really great. So I just haven't read that one yet, and I don't know if I will this year. We will see. I've got it though. I don't have a physical copy of the first book, which was my favorite one, so I don't want to get it because I don't need to get it. I'm not reading it, but obviously if I want the full collection, I can. So yeah, that was the first three books, and then DNF, The Golden Compass, and then after that I read Sick Bastards, which is an extreme horror book, short, 200 and something pages, I'm pretty sure. I was keen because the author's note, I saw it on Goodreads, was like, the plot seemed good, and he was like, this book is fucked up. Like, I'm sorry I wrote something so fucked up. So I was like, oh, like, okay, like, he's apologizing, like, this is gonna be extreme. I'm very excited because I love that sort of stuff. Read it, terrible. Like, I'm sorry, but I was, like, I hate to put out on someone else's work, but oh my god, I was giggling, like, because giggling in a secondhand embarrassment. I'm like, I don't mean to, like, I'm sure he might think this is extreme, but if you've read extreme horror, like, you know, like, the lines that have been crossed, and Diva did not even get close, which is fine, but don't call it extreme horror. I don't know, I don't understand. And a lot of the other people that were reviewing the book, like on Goodreads, they were like, yeah, this is fucked up, but I just don't get it. Not only that, but I think it took away because the writing was not good. It was not good. No character's personality stayed. Like, not once did like someone's personality. I was like, oh yep, that's this character. I could not tell you any of their names, but I also couldn't tell you the names of Flowers in the Attic. But I also could not tell you the names of the characters from Flowers in the Attic except for like Chris and Kathy. So I just think that's a memory issue. But it was just so terrible. And then the mystery of why it was post-apocalyptic, because it was a post-apocalyptic book. It was like this family. Apparently, it was an incesty year for my reading, which is an odd trend to have. But there was incest in it, but not really, because they weren't actually brother and sister. It was just terrible writing. I'm sorry. It felt like he came up like when you write a mystery book, I know the rule is to have the ending and then work towards it so that nothing gets lost along the way. And it felt like he had the ending, but did no explanation of how to get there or anything. It was just like, this, I've got the ending, like I know what's gonna happen, and I'm gonna start the characters here, but now I gotta piece it all together. But he didn't put any effort in that, and you could tell, like, I knew the ending a mile away. Obviously not the specifics, because there was some stuff, as in like some like family stuff, and obviously there's physically no like way I would know any of that, but in general, like the overall plot, like Diva, we knew. I knew. I think anyone with any comprehension skills knew, which is fine. That's fine, but that's just not what I want. Like, I like when you see a mystery coming. It's just the execution, you know? So that was not good. And I did write quite a scathing review. Nothing bad, but I was just like, it's just also the secondhand embarrassment of like him saying, this is so fucked up, like I'm so sorry, like I don't know what's going on in my mind. And he's written something that a 14-year-old would write like on Wattpad of just like two OCs having a fight. Like, I'm sorry, but I just was not a fan. So considering that was my one, I thought I was going to read more extreme horror last year, but I ended up really only reading that one because I was like, fuck, damn. Also, like reading Flowers in the Attic was quite heavy, so I did need something lighter. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna quickly get an extreme horror book out because I do love them, but I then want to read something lighter, and that just let me down. So I was like, well, I'm out of the extreme horror mood now. I read that in one night. I think I read it a night, then stayed up late, and then I went to sleep, and then I woke up the next night. I think I finished it, or maybe in one sitting, but I feel like I would remember if it was one sitting. Either way, I gave him like, I think 2 stars, 1 star. I feel mean giving 1 star because obviously he tried and he was quite passionate about it because he thought it was crazy. And then this was completely out of left field. This wasn't even on my like TBR or anything. It was All the Fiends of Hell, which had come out 2022, I think, by Adam Neville. Anyway, loved it. Oh my god, I loved it. I like aliens and I love post-apocalyptic. I have not read like, actually no, let's say I don't think I've read any like alien books, like adult ones, even kid ones. I don't think so. I do love alien movies though. I love Alien. But yeah, I read it. It was just completely left field, but I saw it on my Kindle. I was just looking through, like it was like books recommended for your reading, because like it obviously has the books that you read. So I gave it a go, and it took me quite a while. I think it took me over a month to get through. To say that took me a while, that is quick as, I'm sorry, but like for my reading level, that is quick as, but longer than the other books, I think. But yeah, I loved it. And I'm sorry, I know that the guy was British, like the main character was British. I know he had like a beard because not once did he shave, and it said he was like a bit scraggly. But in my mind, I could not help but picture Leon Kennedy from what game is he from? One of them. But that was like a sign of the times because he was big at the time, and I just could not help but picture him. And then obviously in my mind, I was picturing someone like with a beard. But I was like, in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, Like, I know what he looks like, and it's Liam Kennedy. But, like, so that definitely made the story better, because I was like, okay, and he was a father figure. And my review for that, I think he gave it 5 stars, but my review was, I love a father figure. And the author liked it. Adam Neville liked it. And I think that might be because he's really active on Goodreads and he must like all of his reviews, but I'm going to think that he liked it because he thought I was funny and charming. Because I am. But, yeah, just, that was awesome. And then I found out that he wrote The Ritual, which I haven't read that book. I haven't read any of his other books, but I've seen the movie. And it's so crazy because it's one of my favourite horrors to rewatch. And you get it if you get it or you don't get it, but there's some horror movies that are easy to like rewatch in a comforting sort of way because I don't know, there's just something about it. Like when I rewatch The Ritual, which I really like rewatching, I always skip the beginning bit that's like not awkward, but it's like you like learn the personality of the characters, like it's like about the funeral and stuff. I like to just get into it when it's crazy, which is obviously like not analytical, but I'm watching it because it's fun. It's fun and I'm having fun, and I want to see the big monster at the end because I'm sorry, that was crazy, and it's like probably one of my favorite monster designs I've ever seen in any movie. Like, I'm sorry, but that is crazy. I love it. I love it, and I love the guy because I know him from something else, but I completely forgot. But at the time of watching it, I was like, oh, I know what he's from. He's from Black Mirror. It was like a Christmas special, I think. I think he was in A Snow Globe, as his crime and time could be sped up. It was a really good episode. But you know, so talented, and so obviously it makes sense. Like, I'm sorry, but you can tell when a movie is adapted from a book because sometimes the concepts are just better. Obviously, there's some outliers, but generally, a lot of the time it's because there's like a book from it. And he's fucking talented. Like, I'm sorry, but he was talented, and the way he wrote the aliens was, in my mind, it was kind of picturing it, but it was also very hard. But that was the point. It was like very much, one of the reviews said that it was like the Mist, the Stephen King book, where you couldn't quite see what was there. Like, you could, but like you couldn't quite. And so I was kind of picturing it because the alien, I don't have the book because I got it on Kindle, but the alien on the cover, it's like this red, I've got the picture here actually, can you see it? But it's like, oh no, my god, that's horrific. But there's like a hole in its head. It's got a big mouth, but most of them are white. They were only red towards the end because the sky was turning red. You would know if you read the book. So he liked it. So I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. I'm connected to a celebrity. And then also, ignore if my tongue is a darker color. I do have a wiki Iswate that I really want to sip actually. And then my, ooh, so good. But the last book I read was just the third book in the Carry On series from Rainbow Rowell, which I love. I do love. The first book I was such a fan of. I read that, I would have been 16, I think. So quite a few years ago. Ooh. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 6 years ago. So I read that first book, and I loved it. The cover I had was ugly. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not how I pictured the main characters. It's how I kind of pictured Simon, but not Baz. That was crazy how they pictured him on there. It was like the silhouette. I've still got the book. Oh, memes. Oh, such memes. But anyway, read the second one. I want to say the day it came out, but it's the day it came into the library because I was there and it was like new arrivals and I saw it and I had no idea there was going to be a second one, which thank God because I didn't have to wait. And this was 2020. 2019. All I know it was when I moved up north. So I would have been 18. Only 2 years. That's actually crazy. I think I read the Karen book quite a while after it came out. I think so. Either way, read it and I loved it. And the reason why I loved it is obviously I do like the characters. I really did like them. And it's sometimes hard to find such like female characters that like I really like in a compassionate sort of way. Like, it's hard because a lot of the time in like, because I don't read a lot of like straight romances, but the girl is so normally very YN in a sense that you're supposed to like relate to her, but that's not what I want. I want someone that's not me. That's like just not my fave. So I really liked Penelope and I liked Agatha, and I was like, oh, so taken aback. And obviously the issue is because I didn't read a lot. So the books that I did read on the off chance, I just was not having much luck with. So obviously it's my own fault, but I was just taken aback. And the second book is my favorite place. America, Utah, the desert, bright blue skies, red rocks. Like, are you seeing the vision? Are you seeing the vision? And it was a road trip, so it was kind of the cozy feeling, and then obviously like the crazy feeling, but oh, loved it. Oh, I loved it. I think I read that in like 2-3 days. Oh, I tell ya, that book had a grip on me. It was so good. And I also really loved it because it tackled like Simon's like depression and all that, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I was like, I loved accurate representation without the pressure. No, it was just amazing. I loved it. And then the third book, which I knew had been out for a while, and I had it. I bought it. I had started rereading the second one because I wanted to read all the books again before I read the third book. Just for memes. Well, this is 11 minutes. So I read the first one, I would say last year, but I mean 2023. So 2 years ago. Maybe it was when I went down to Melbourne, so it would have been April, because it was around my birthday. So it was April, I read the first one, and then I read basically like 3/4 to basically almost kind of finished it. Maybe there was like 100 pages left, so I would say 3/4 of the second one. And then I came back, I got a new job. I did not read a lot, not that I can think of. Oh, actually, I think I did read a lot. Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, that was too long ago. But I didn't finish the second one, and so I was just gonna restart the second one because I wanted to. But then I thought, nah, I'll just like I know what happens. I'm going to just finish the second one from where I was up to, and then start the third one. And I did. I loved the second one again, just from that little bit. I loved it. And then I started the third one and didn't realize that book is like 600 pages long. Thank fuck. But not enough happened in it. I could have kept going. I saw so much fan art of Simon and Baz getting married that I was like fully expecting like some epilogue, something. No, it ended in a way that like their story continues even though it's ended, which is fine. Oh. It's what the author intended, but it's not good for me because there's nothing else. And I know she's writing other books now, which is fine. Anyway, I loved it. That took me like 2-3 days to get through. It took me a little bit because I was quite busy with work, but Diva, there was no need to rush this book. I was getting through it. I could not put it down. I just was eating it up, and it was so cozy, comfy in a way that like nothing too extreme happened. They stayed in England. Their relationship was getting better. I just wanted to see the relationship, but I feel like I would have gotten too overloaded with their relationship if it didn't focus on the other bits of the plot. And I did like it because you found out about Simon's past. Anyway, that one got fucking 5 stars. 5 stars. Just because I did love it. And then I started reading, because halfway through like last year, I got really, I can turn it up now. I got really into Dune and just like watching videos. I watched so many videos. Sorry, someone sent me a message. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Alt Shift X, the YouTube channel, he did a video on like the Ultramars, which I really liked. Anyway, he did a video on the real Dune, so I was like, oh my gosh. And then I watched it, obsessed. I love it. I've watched it like maybe one more time. It's like an hour and a half long, just to have it in the background because I just love it. I came in love with the lore when I found out that Leto the Second, I'm pretty sure it's Leto the Second, yeah, he becomes a giant worm person, and I love body horror. So gross. I'm so squeamish. Like I will throw up and I will be really grossed out. Like I just don't like I like it, but in a sick sense, you know? Like The Substance made me feel so sick. I only watched a little bit because my sister and my dad was watching it, but there's some sick part of me and I just need to watch it. Like, I just need to, like, you know what I mean? It's like the thing of the extreme horror, like, I can't look away, but like there's something about it. Oh god. So when I found out, I was like, oh my god, I need to see. So I watched so many videos about him, and then I just learned about the Dune lore. I was eating up, and then I found this guy, kind of small, not really anymore, because the Dune movies came out, so obviously his videos of explaining the books got more popular, thank goodness, because he did such a good job, just like talking about the books and stuff, and it was just so nice, such a good vibe. So I was like, finally, like, I'm gonna read it. It was like one day my mum had it was like the 50th anniversary edition of Dune. Whoa, 50, that's a long time. Anniversary edition of the book, and I think I had finished, it might have been the same moment that I finished Anyway the Wind, what is the third book called? Hold on. Anyway the Wind Blows from Ray Morrell, the third book. I think it was the day that I finished it. I was at my mum's because I was just staying there for a little bit, and then she had it on the bookshelf, and I was like, I just need to, because I, like, a couple of weeks before that, I just opened the book because I was like so stressed, because it seems like Dune, it's such a big book. I know there's so much lore, it like seemed overwhelming and all that, so I was like nervous about reading it. But then I was just like, oh, so I opened the book, and then I read like the first chapter, and I was like, this actually isn't hard. Like, I actually did enjoy how it was written. I was like, okay. So then I finished the book, and then I just like pulled it off the shelf and started reading it, and it was like really good. I really enjoyed it, but the pages were really thin, like the Golden Compass book, so I was like, like, I don't want to tear it. This is mum's book. She hasn't read Dune. She bought it because it was selling at that bookstore, and it's basically like the only copy of the Dune book you can buy there, because like, why not just sell the 50th? I don't think it costs much more. I think it's exactly the same. It's just like the cover, but it is gorge. The books are like a little bit bigger, so the one I have is quite small. Imagine it's like, so this is probably like A6. It's more, no, this is A5, just a little bit bigger. So the words were more spread out, a little bit thinner, because this, you could probably see, it's written like most old sci-fis, but like the words are quite thick in a normal way. But the 50th anniversary was quite wide. It was a really quick read, and the pages were so thin. It was so nice. They were so spread out. It was really good. I got through it quite quick, just reading it through that. But I was bringing the book to work, because I read at work, before I start, and it was getting a little bunged up, just like scratching the edges, and I really didn't want to damage my mum's book. And also, like, I love old covers. Like, I love old covers. I love secondhand books, and a book that was so important to me, like Dune, that I really wanted to read. I really wanted a book that someone else had obviously read, because it's like the memories of them reading it as well. Like, do you get it? Like, the memories of them also going through the turmoil. So I found one. Oh my god, look, Dune was all gold, but it's worn off. That'll just be from me. That's actually crazy. I didn't realize so much had come off. Right. I think I also did that. So I found this one on eBay. There was quite a few different covers. The cover that I really liked was this picture, but the whole book. But I didn't realize how much I liked it until I purchased this one, and I saw the second book, Dune Messiah, had the picture but the whole cover, and I did get that one. But I was like, damn, I'd already purchased this one, and this is gorgeous. Like, I do love it. Like, I do love it. I'm sorry, but I love old illustrations like that. Ooh, it is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. Anyway, so that one took me forever to read, because like, going from like the nice words, say this like the words aren't nice, but like more compact, takes a lot more focus. Plus, it gets to the bit where Paul gets all psychedelic, and I'm sorry, but I just, skimming through like bits is fine, like if you don't quite understand. But if I read something and I don't quite understand it, I'll keep reading, but I'm only going to be thinking about the fact that I didn't understand it, and then I'm in my mind, I'm like, I gotta go back and read that bit. I gotta go, even though like I'm trying to move on, like I just can't get it out of my mind that I need to go and read that bit again. And obviously I can push through and get through that, but it's just unpleasant. So why don't I just go back and then read it? So it took me quite a bit, and I just was not making my way through it, because also it was over the Christmas period. I was working a lot, when I would go in the morning I would read, but now because I'm going so early, like a couple of like co-workers that also start that early, like we kind of all chat now, like we all go out kind of at the same time sort of vibe, which is nice. Like I'd much rather chat than like sit and read. I'm not a freaking nerd. I like to chat. Any excuse to talk actually. So I was not getting through it. And then Sunday, my roommate, a couple like weeks, maybe a week before, my roommate suggested, why don't we do a 12-hour reading marathon on the following Sunday, which was 2 days ago for me, because it's currently Tuesday. And I was like, yes, that sounds like a really good idea. Anyway, did the challenge. I read from page 284 to like 460, and that was in 12 hours. Also did not help. I kept getting distracted, but because we put the TV on because the Ashes match was on, like the cricket one, so we watched that, and so I kept getting distracted watching, and then the news came on, and then it was the BBL, the Big Bash League, when they got the BBL, the Big Bash League, and I had so much fun watching that. It was, who was playing? I can't even remember. I just had, I cannot remember, but the Renegades versus the Stars, I think. Anyway, I had a blast. It was so much fun. Me and my room were sitting on the couch. It didn't help. It was also so hot because it's summer right now. It was right before a storm. We had so much thunder, but only rain for a little bit. And our aircon downstairs doesn't work, and we can't put our fan on 3 because it spins way too fast and it's blowing everything away, and it's just unpleasant. It's also so loud. So you got to put it on 2, which is still really, really slow, but not as slow as 1. So not the most conducive. But yeah, I did take forever to read, but that's also alright because it's not a race, and I wanted to read it to enjoy it. Like, I don't want to rush through. I love this book, and I did love it, and I also was getting so anxious throughout reading it because I didn't want to get to the action part, because action's fine, but it's just not something that I look forward to. Like, I know books need it, and I know I would notice if a book didn't have it, like I noticed this one, but I'm just not a big fan, so I was getting quite anxious. I was like, oh, I don't want to read that, like, oh. But then it just didn't have it. It like skipped it, which I love. Like the big fight scene, it just had like the next section of the book, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's amazing. So that was really good. And then like yesterday I did finish it, but then there's a bit which is the appendix. I can see here, and like the appendices, and it had the ecology of June, and I'm just up to reading the religion, so I wasn't going to read this bit because I'm just so ready to start a new book. I finished the appendices, and it was actually really worth it. It was a lot of fun. I wish space was real. I have a book in mind that I want to read, but I also don't know. It's called The House in the Cerulean Sea, or on the Cerulean Sea, if that's how you say Cerulean. Cerulean, I think it is Cerulean, which I really want to read, because oh my gosh, wait, I'll talk about this later, but I really just wanted to get through it, but I know I just was rushing, and then I started reading the Ecology of June, and I loved it, which obviously makes sense, because I like the book, so I don't know why I'm so surprised, but I've got, if you can see, just like a little bit left. I'm on page 579, and getting to the actual definitions, like the terminology, is 586. Whoa, I'm actually really much closer than I thought. And then all like the terms and stuff are here, which was so helpful throughout the book because I did forget some stuff. But I won't be reading those. It just feels like overkill. Like, I'll come back to it. And I do have Doom Messiah, but I don't plan on reading that one for a little bit. It is much smaller, so I really don't know. But yeah, and also this was like the first book that I had used these little annotation tabs. I bought them because I did it with Carry On because I planned on drawing a lot of fan art when I was reading Carry On. So I like highlighted, like, or not highlighted, but in pen, like a sicko, I did like brackets around my favorite bits, and then at the front I had written down like the pages. But I ended up drawing only like one bit of fan art because I read the book so fast, and then I just wanted to read the second one. So I actually didn't want to draw. But that was like the first time I've ever really done that. This was great though. This was really fun, and I had these ones which is like the sand, I used all of them, and it's so sentimental to me that the very last page, the very last quote, which I loved, I used the last tab. I'm sorry, but that was just so special to me. Like, that was crazy. I was really chuffed about that. I know, I really hope I don't want to annotate anything in the appendices. I don't see why I would, but I'll have to use a different colour, and that's really fucked up. But I guess it's like different colour for the appendices compared to the actual book. So I guess it kind of works out. But no, I just loved it. It was so much fun. It was a hassle, like, if I didn't have it right next to me, I wasn't going to get up off the couch and go find them. So I would just dog-ear the pages. So you can see at the top where I dog-eared them. Obviously I've folded them back, but they're still a little bit bunged up. And this book really went through the ringer. It was not this damaged before, and it was going in my bag. She went everywhere. That, I think, was originally there, but it really doesn't matter. Just I know is that I did that, and I did that. I'm sorry, but me when I'm reading E. Frank Herbert. E? This didn't come off, but I think that's more painted on. Anyway, she's going through it, and it's quite discoloured, which I love. There was like a dead bug in here, and I wonder where that bug came from, because I don't even know. I know this book came from a Vinnie's in Australia through eBay. I think it was New South Wales. So I brought a bug from New South Wales up here. It's really crazy. Just doing my own little ecology mission. Is that what it's called? Anyway, that was the books that I read last year. 25 minutes long. Oh my goodness. That was the books I read last year. Technically this year, because I'm still reading Dune. But the 6 books, and so I will talk about the books I didn't finish. So The Golden Compass, didn't read, didn't finish. And at one point during the year, I cannot tell you when I started, but I started reading Howl's Moving Castle, and I loved it. I had it on my phone on Kindle, and then I had it on my Kindle, and I loved it. And I think I got through maybe like 3/4 of the way through, and I just stopped for some random reason. I must have been reading something else, but I just can't pinpoint when I started reading it. Oh my gosh, I think it might have been not long before I started Flowers in the Attic. I must have been reading Howl's Moving Castle, and then I saw the video on Flowers in the Attic, and then I bought it like instantly on Kindle and started reading it. So yeah, it's been quite a while. That would have been before June, before July? Might have been July, because it was after I came back from Brisbane. Anyway, I travel a lot. I'm always traveling. Yeah, and I just didn't. So there's no reason why I didn't continue. I just haven't gotten around to it, and now I'm just like, I want to start a fresh book. So I found The House on Cerulean Sea on Pinterest, because I have a lot of Howl's Moving Castle fan art. Like, I do like looking at it. I like looking at it. And then there was like some fan art of this other book, and I was like, I don't recognize the characters. And then the top tag was like House on the Cerulean Sea, so I was like, alright. And then I searched it up on Goodreads, and it sounded really like good. It sounded really great, and I did like, I went on it, and her name is Denali Adventure. I'm not sure her real name. You know, it starts with an A, but I was scrolling down, and the top review was from her, because obviously when you follow people, because I followed her on Goodreads last year at some point, even though I've been watching her for like a couple of years, only just discovered she has a Goodreads, and she had done a review for it and said that she loved it, 5 stars. I was like, oh, like, I've got to read it, because like I value her opinion a lot, like I really do. So I'm like, oh, I want to read that next, but then I'm like, also I have so many books on my shelf, so many books on my shelf that I want to read. I'm so excited. So I don't know, that's why I don't have a list of ones that I want to start, you know, because I've just got so many, and I've got so many extreme horror books on my TBR on Goodreads, but like I said, I've got to be in the right mind space, and I just don't know after such a heavy book like June. Like, I get through extreme horror books quite quickly because they are fascinating and fast-paced in a way, but I say extreme horror, but I'm not a big fan of the extreme, like, gore, which is a lot of those fast-paced books, so more the thriller aspect of, like, extreme horror in, I would say lesser extreme horror than just more extreme regular horror, kind of. It's kind of, I hesitate to say horror because it's such a fine line, and you can like never be sure if it's going to be good. But yeah, like, my point is that it is a hit and miss. You've got to be careful. Like, you got to be extreme horror in the certain topics that it tackles. Like, I don't want needless gore for needless gore. Like, I can appreciate that, but it's not quite what I want to read right now. So it really is a hit and miss sometimes. And I've got so many books that I'm just like, I don't want to go through and figure it out. What I want to read. I do like Goodreads though, because it does have the synopsis of them. So I used to just have the list on my phone and a no author, just the book, which is crazy because a lot of them have similar names. So that was really hard to put it all on Goodreads. Anyway, I actually don't know why I was talking about that. Anyway, two other books that I didn't finish last year was Exquisite Corpse, because I have that as an audiobook and I just haven't been listening to audiobooks, and it was getting to the point where I really liked the perspective of the first guy. He was that he was like that murderer, and he was but I did like his personality. It was really fascinating. And then it moved to New Orleans, and the guys it was talking about I just wasn't a fan of. So I was like, I just stopped. So I don't know if I'll get back. I don't know if I'll get back into it, but we'll see. And then the other book was On the Beach, I think, by Neville Shute. I think it was. Yeah, On the Beach. And I was enjoying that book, but it is quite old and it is a little bit slow. But I was liking it. I think the reason I stopped, that was at the beginning of last year. I think. Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh no, it might have been at the end of 2023. Because my grandmother recommended it to me. Rest in peace. She recommended it to me last year, the year before 2023. And I think it was because I wasn't in that sort of reading groove at the time, so I just kept getting taken out of it. So I know once I get into like, well, I say that, but that is just like making an excuse, but I know I will eventually finish it. That's all I know. And I know because I didn't make it that far through, I want to say like 10, 15, maybe 20%. I didn't make it that far through, so I know it'll be easy to pick up on. I don't think I need to start it again because it is quite slow and a lot had happened. Like, stuff had happened, but he was still on land. He hadn't quite joined the army, like Navy sort of vibe, like gone in the ship, or there's no more talk about it. And if you don't know, On the Beach is based in Australia, and it's about a nuclear bomb or something like that happening in the northern hemisphere, and all contact in those continents have been cut off, and so it's the point of view of Australia trying to cope. And this one guy who works for the Navy, I think, and he's just been employed to go on a submarine and try to find some contact. I think it's a lost boat, or go somewhere up the northern hemisphere to find contact, because like no one can like talk to anyone. And so it is very fascinating. And sorry about that concept, but in like really old, being tackled like so many years ago. Obviously I think it was because of the war that was happening at the time when the book was like written. Like, it would have been after that obviously, but I think the scare of nuclear bombs impacted the writing of that book the same way All the Fiends of Hell was inspired heavily by the pandemic. So I think that's just so fascinating, just a concept. Like, any post-apocalyptic fiction not written nowadays with very stereotypical tropes, which do happen, which I get, it's just so fascinating to me. So I do definitely want to finish it, and I get the vibe when it says On the Beach. There's a part of my mind that thinks that the ending of the book is going to be the man and his wife, and I think they've got a baby, like standing on the beach, maybe the last dredges of people that they communicate with, standing on the beach as like the nuclear bomb spreads to them, because they know that they're running out of time, because there's obviously something from the nuclear bomb, like the radiation or whatever, it's slowly going to come to them. They just don't know how soon, and they can't talk to anyone. So it's going to be them as it like washes over maybe, or they like see it, and I feel like it's going to have like an open-ended book, but not open-ended like you know what's going to happen sort of. So I get that vibe, which makes me excited. Like, terrible, like I know I'm going to be so sad, but it does make me excited, and I don't know, I've never learned like that, so I definitely want to finish that. So yeah, what a long yap. That was so much fun. That was so much fun. So yeah, that was all the books that I read last year in 2024, and technically 2025, and the books I didn't finish, and just the vibes going into this year of what I want to read. So today is the 14th of January, Tuesday, 1 month till Valentine's Day, whatever that means. So yeah, just the vibes for the year. I'm excited for next year when I can do a recap, because now I don't have to give like context of the books like for the year before, so it'll be like a lot easier to talk at. But I'm gonna explain it all again anyway. But I'm excited. I like starting a little series, and I don't know if at any point this year I'm going to record any more videos about the books I read. I was gonna record a book. I was gonna record a video about Dune, but it's just making me quite overwhelmed because it's quite a big book that I keep thinking about the thoughts I want to have, but I don't think it'll come out. So just pretend I had some really good ideas. In fact, the spirit of Frank Herbert, he was like watching my video and he was really, really awed, and he said, like, this is amazing. This is really amazing. So yeah, that's it basically. Nothing to say, nothing really interesting is going to come on the screen. Just me talking. Another 40-minute long video, another 40-minute banger from Lizzie. Featuring Makimu at the back there. He had a lot of funny quips to say. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. Are you lonely by any chance? But I had just so much fun talking, and I'm gonna rewatch that in this video in the future. But yes, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in an indeterminate amount of time.